Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com with this week's live Q&A. So all the questions have been submitted by Patreon and our YouTube channel members. We also have them going on live right now in the chat. So a big hello to Joshua, Caleb, John, and also Mick. Thank you very much for joining us live. We'll wait for a few more people to jump in. Make sure if you can hear me, just if one of you could let me know, that would be great. Yeah, so last week I didn't do the actual live Q&A that I normally do because I'm having the weekend away. Went on a Disney cruise, as Kaylee said. Did you enjoy your vacation? I really enjoyed it. We had a fantastic time on a Disney cruise. It was a staycation, so we weren't actually leaving like the UK. So they've been putting on these cruises so we could go off all over the place, and went off kind of the coast of France, off of there, and really just it was just nice, just relaxing and having a little bit of time away, and also being out in the middle of the ocean, so you couldn't actually get very much Wi-Fi, so I was able to disconnect, and that was really nice. But as I said, this here live Q&A, and we got questions going on right now in the live chat as well, so we'll be bringing them up, and we also have a number of ones that have been pre-done as well through Patreon and YouTube channel members. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month. Obviously, if you become it on YouTube, you can join in with the community tab. You can also use super chats as well if you prefer to use that there. It all helps towards running the site, kind of keeping everything going, keeping all the lights on. It's a massive help having all of your support. So here we go. Let's jump into some. So Ben just asked, what Disney show? So they did have actually. They had Rapunzel, the musical, and they also had Dreams, which was fantastic. So I did really enjoy those two. Okay, let's jump into some of... I'm going to find where I put them all because we've got this new software that I'm using. Well, let's start off with the main one that everyone asked about at the beginning, which obviously was how come the Disney Channel still exists in America, as they feel the rest of the world follows America, but the Disney Channel shut down everywhere except for the US, other than places that don't have Disney Plus, which has Disney Plus... Okay, so the thing is with this one is ultimately Disney Channel is closing down in a number of different countries. Here in the United Kingdom, for example, closed down a while ago. We also had it with Australia. There's a whole places in a number of places like was it New Zealand have had it. Taiwan is closing down later this year. That will then be affecting a number of the South East Asia channels, going right across Europe as well. And I think we're just going to see more of this. They've said that they're going to be closing down about 100 channels. So with regards to, I think internationally, they're much quicker to be going down the line. They're realizing the viewers aren't there, the numbers aren't here, they aren't getting the ratings and all the rest of it. So they're kind of pulling back from that whole business model. I do believe the US will probably be the last one if they do go at all. I think there is always going to be an element of people watching traditional television. As long as the cable companies are willing to pay for it, I suspect Disney will keep doing it. But ultimately, kids are just getting more and more used to on demand. In some ways, Disney Channel is the one that is probably the most impacted. And children's channels as a whole have just been going downhill in terms of ratings because kids just watch everything on demand. They've grown up in a world of on demand. And so why would you wait till 7:30 on a Saturday morning to watch the latest cartoon when you can watch it when you want? They've grown up in a different era. And so I do think that the Disney Channel is going to have an issue. Yes, it's okay. The questions are blocking the host screen, so you can't see me. So that the whole point of that was when they bring the questions up, and I will get rid of it. I do think as well with the whole thing with the Disney channels, while it's still bringing them money, Disney are going to do it. I still believe that like Disney XD is probably likely to be one that will get shut down soon. I also think until they can kind of sort out what they're doing with the US, the rest of the world won't catch up so much. I mean, I did an article yesterday because I was on the train going up and to London for a special Disney Plus event. And so I was on the train and I wrote this article all about just the whole thing of how long everything's taking and why things aren't getting on there quicker. And there still seems to be that stumbling block around the Disney Channel and around the idea of that's ours. That's not, we're not putting that there. And, I think we're going to get to a point where it doesn't matter because it's got the Disney logo, so it will go to Disney Plus eventually. But I think we need some more speed, we need some more urgency, and things can be a little bit clearer. But ultimately, it's going to take time. Hopefully, when we start seeing things like this past weekend, you've got things like the Disney Princess remix of how many people are watching it on Disney Plus compared to the Disney Channel. And while they're still making money from it, they're still going to go with it. I still believe as well, they're gonna just slowly drip feed it out. But the Disney Channel, I mean, the ratings on the shows and the movies aren't doing too great. I mean, I know, for example, Spin was like, I think it was like 500,000 people watched it, which 500,000. I mean, when you think back, they were getting 2-3 million, and that was quite low compared to a few years ago when I think High School Musical was like 11 to 16 million. There were so many. So there was just so many. So I do think that we're going to see a lot of this going on. I just think the US might be last, and it's just going to come down to those deals of how long they've got them for, and is Disney willing to pull the plug? I think internationally they're going to see what it is. Let's hear look at a couple of questions. Taylor said, believe it or not, traditional cable is still prominent in households since not everyone has high-speed internet. Why Disney Channel still exists? Hopefully the infrastructure will change. Now, yeah, see, that is a key thing here about whether or not people have high-speed internet. And I think that will have an impact in some countries, and it depends. But they're already showing that they are willing to drop that. In some countries they're already doing it, and obviously it depends on their internet and all the rest. But I think we're getting to the point now where high-speed internet for streaming, I think like National Geographic is probably the safest channel because it's a much more older demographic. But I do think eventually the kids channels, they might end up just becoming like a rerun channel. They might go the opposite way around, where instead of things debuting there, that's where things go afterwards. But yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a change. But let me know what you think of all this. Do you think the Disney Channel will actually shut down, and when do you think it will do, or do you think they'll keep it going a little bit longer? Like I said, I'm in a country where Disney Channel has already shut down, so to me it's not a case of if, but more of a case of maybe when. Okay, so let's now move back. I'm just going to do the other question here from that last slide. So Connor asks, do you reckon there'll be any star-related content being announced on Disney Plus Day, which is November the 12th? Maybe some new original content or some surprise drops. So I do think we will probably see some star announcements, maybe through social media. There may be a presentation, however they're going to do it. We don't know really how they're doing this whole star thing, this whole Disney Plus Day. I would like them to do it. But if their primary goal is to try and sell Disney Plus in the US with the bundle, they don't want to mix things up. I could see stuff being announced on the day, maybe by the social media team, so it doesn't necessarily get picked up by the US side. I'm just saying that they could slide onto their social medias or do something like that and do it that way. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if there was some stuff by the UK and like the Australian teams to get some announcements out there. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a hard sell if they go out there if they've got a special presentation and they go, here's all the stuff coming to Hulu and all the stuff coming to Disney Plus, but not in the US. I think it might be a little bit tricky. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a thing with the Disney Plus Day. Let me know in the comments. Do you think we're going to see stuff on Disney Plus Day about Star? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So Lady Jennifer Snow said there's no on demand is no commercials. That is a key thing. And we know, and I think kids are probably even less likely to want to watch TV. A couple of live questions. So Joe asked, do you think Free Guy will be coming to Disney Plus and Ireland in September as well? In case you missed this, it was an email went out to subscribers in Australia and New Zealand saying that Free Guy is coming to Disney Plus on the in September. No release date. Important to know, though my reckoning is 45 days from when the movie came out is around about the 27th. They've already announced that the DVD and the digital version's coming out in the US on the 28th of September. I think it worked out 29th of September is actually a Wednesday. So there is also another problem in Australia and New Zealand with they've got lots of lockdowns. Pretty much Victoria and New South Wales and most of New Zealand are shut down. So therefore, no one in those regions, in those cities like Sydney, Melbourne, they can't actually get to the cinema to watch stuff. So that was obviously an issue. But in some states, they can do, like in Queensland and Northern Territory, the cinemas are open. So that does make things a little bit more tricky but I think we will get it. I think we're going to get it. Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if we have a surprise announcement for Free Guy for end of September for the UK as well. I mean, they're doing this whole 45-day thing. Why not? And I can't wait. If they do that, I'm definitely I've booked a ticket to see Shang-Chi on Friday at the cinema. And I was thinking about Free Guy, but I'm going to just go see Shang-Chi first. If it's coming in a couple of weeks now, I'm probably just going to leave it. Okay, let's see what other live questions we have got here. Let's just go back up the questions here so you can see. So Joshua said, I believe the rookie is on Sky Witness, so it's possible, but I doubt it would be this year. So I don't know if that's to another question. That's always a thing going on now with some existing shows. They seem to be going to where they used to go. John then put Ed Esner has died. Now, he was the voice of Carl from Up. I was trying to look through the notes to see if he actually provided the voice for Doug Day. So that was the thing I was looking at just before, but I couldn't quite find that. So he did, but yeah, it's just sad. Obviously, sad when you get things like that happen. And it's obviously a shame, because Up's such a great song, movie, and Carl is such a great character. So yeah, sad to see him go. Okay, let's have a look here. See what we've also got here. So Ricardo said this Tuesday is Latin America's finally the day that Star Plus is releasing finally. I wonder how different the interface will be compared to Disney Plus. Now, we did see a little bit at the Investors Day last year, so hopefully that might be tweaked a little bit. I think it'll be very similar. I don't think it'll be that much different, but obviously they're going to have the live sports aspect, so that's always going to be a bit of an issue thing going on. Ben said, I would like there to be Star announcements on Disney Plus. Me too. I mean, to be honest, the Star stuff is kind of the really fun bits and pieces that is on Disney Plus right now. I literally today, we just finished off The Glooming this morning. So that was a Star original. And we've just jumped back into Hot Zone, which is a Star original as well. Ricardo also adds, there's a lot of different franchises coming to Star Plus in Latin America. Jurassic Park, Ted, Indiana Jones, and Chucky TVCs. The thing is, as well, is it's going to come down to if they've got the distribution rights. If they own the rights to put them on there, they're going to use it. I mean, why not? Every other streaming service is using whatever they've got. They're chucking on there. Mick asked, are you going to be putting out videos for September releases? I did do one for the US. I'm going to be honest. The problem I've been having with, especially like with the UK ones, is just the sheer number of things that they are announcing. It's the videos taking a lot longer to make, and just at the minute of just like I've just been this week with the cruise and everything, it was just like I don't think I've got time to do it. But I have been noticing, especially like with the Australian and the Canadian videos, they don't perform as well as the US one, but it's just since Star's been included, I mean the things that you're doing every day, there's just so much more. I mean, the lists are just incredible. And yeah, it's just literally at the minute, the editing time for the UK videos it's just taking me 3 to 4 times as long as the other one. So it was just coming down to time versus, time management. I do want to do them. Whether or not I do one for September, I don't know. It's just, again, I'm just looking at these lists. There is just so much that they're putting on there. Okay, so let's have a look here, see what other live ones we've got in here. Joe said, how many episodes of American Horror Stories are premiering on Disney Plus Star? In Canada last week, they got episodes 1 and 2, The Rubber Woman. So I'm guessing we'll get the same thing. I think that's how they're going to do it. If they did it with Canada, I'd expect them to do the same thing. I did watch those 2 episodes. I did get screeners. I did a bit of a review up earlier in the week. I had never seen American Horror Story, and so I watched those 2 with my wife. She really enjoyed them, and I thought it was pretty fun. I'm definitely going to be interested to see. I'm much more interested in American Horror Stories because I haven't got, in some ways, got to worry about all the back catalog stuff. So I'm guessing it's going to be 2, but they might go down to 1. But I would imagine 2. We're getting 3 for the launch of Only Murderers in the Building on Tuesday, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so Joshua said Ed also provided the voice of Hudson in Gargoyles. Okay. Frank said, why don't they just advertise and say Hulu has adult stuff and Disney Plus is for kids in the bundles? Because they don't want to tell everyone that Disney Plus is for kids, because that's exactly what they don't want to do. As much as that's how they've kind of pigeoned Disney Plus, they don't want to tell you it's for kids because it doesn't, Loki and their future plans. It's really funny because that whole thing about Disney Plus being for kids, and I'm sure all us international folks that are in the live chat as well will completely agree with this. Stars changed all that for us. The concept of me for Disney Plus being a kids app, it's not that anymore. I fire it up and I see all these different series and movies and what I'm watching on Disney Plus now. The whole kids thing just doesn't apply anymore. And yeah, I think it really does make a big difference. So that's why they're not saying it, because Disney Plus is going to start they will change in the US from what it is right now. Yeah, and also I don't necessarily think they like because it's funny when the UK did the Star Plus or the Star launch, they said stuff for adults, shows for adult stuff kind of can be another way of kind of saying it. So they've got to be careful how they word all this kind of stuff. Okay, so John said Modern Family season 9 is coming to Star UK next month. Will we get the rest? I was reading your website. Thank you for keeping up the good work. Thank you very much, John. Thank you there. That's the key thing. If you want to keep up with all the latest, the website is where I'm updating. I pretty much spend all day just kind of updating, putting new articles in. So that's the main thing where I keep all of the content going. Yeah, so season 9 is coming. The rest of them, I don't know. Things seem to leave Now TV a bit later, and they don't quite come through. So it is a little bit of an issue. Hulu also has content for families. Yes, I'm not even going to try and pronounce some of those. So there's actually a question coming up about Hulu, which I want to go into a little bit of detail for. Right, let's jump in there and have a look now. Okay, see if I can jump in. I'm going to leave Joshua's one just for a minute, because there was a great question which I'm going to lead into. Where's the Hulu one? There's quite a few ones here. Was that it from? Yes. Okay, so here was one from Caleb about asking about Spider-Man. And also, more importantly, he said that the Disney bundle is not ideal, according to Bob Chapek. Do you see Disney Plus and Hulu combining into one app similar to Disney Plus Hotstar? Right, and there was also another question here. This was quite a long question about from Aero G, saying about Hulu and also kind of all the bits and pieces going on here. For example, with the main things I want to pull out here of, can you see Disney buying up TV libraries so they can compete against Discovery VPS? But also, more importantly, with there being so many different networks and stuff available on Disney with the bundle and all the rest of it, it's kind of very interesting. Now, I wanted to bring up here, one of the things I wanted to look at is the problem with Hulu is that at some point they're going to start losing access to a whole host of different information. They're going to be losing a load of access to content which they don't own, because when Comcast sell their actual part of Hulu, it's about 33%. But also from next year, they can start pulling stuff off here. So this is just some of the content that's on Hulu from NBC. So you got things here like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You've also got Chicago Med. You've got a whole host of different movies as well, and like TV shows. My Name is Earl. Now, some of these ones are available in other regions, like New Amsterdam, Saved by the Bell. All of these shows eventually are all going to disappear from Hulu. Now let's look at CBS. They've got all of these shows here on Deep Space Nine, Star Trek, Twilight Zone, Survivor, The Game. All of these shows here that are all on Hulu at the minute. Great. Really, really great. Warner Brothers are the same. They've got all these shows and movies all on Hulu. And also the Fox Network. And the Fox Network's a little bit tricky because a lot of these are actually made by Disney rather than by Fox themselves. But what I'm aiming at here and there's also a lot of other networks. Bet, you got AMC, you've got all these different networks here going along the bottom. And eventually these are all going to start disappearing, because like Comedy Central is going to go to Paramount. And CBS is going to go to Paramount. Discovery is going to go to Discovery Plus. The Disney Junior, there's hardly anything left. All of this content is all starting to disappear. And one of the things Aero brought up was around, building up FX and Freeform as the brand and stuff, which obviously is important. And that is a key thing, really, I think, with Hulu, is they're going to sort of lose so much of this content. And like you say, all that Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and the Super Dragon Ball, that they're going to get into this problem. And Variety put up a great article this week about how they are going to they're not investing enough in original content. You got ABC, FX and stuff doing things, but we're not getting enough content to feed a streaming service because they don't want to make too much value and all the rest of it. And I think that's the thing. A lot of Hulu is going to have the same problem Netflix is going to have, or has already had, where content is going to start being moved along and moved along and moved along, and therefore they can kind of, I don't know. It's a very tricky one. Of Hulu is going to go for a big thing, and when all that stuff starts disappearing, Hulu's going to start struggling to show why you're going to be worth it. That's why I think eventually they will incorporate it with Disney Plus, because if you remove all of that content from Hulu, that's a lot less. You take away SmackDown and you take away all these different bits and pieces. It's going to be a very, very tricky one. And I do think that it's going to be an interesting one. But I'd love to know what you think with Hulu and the rebranding and everything, of how all that's actually going to help, and go on. I'd love to hear what you'll think of that one. So Joshua had an interesting question here, and it was all about basically about the new Thor: Love and Thunder movie. So he asked, with Thor: Love and Thunder and Gore being introduced, it introduced an interesting situation, whereas the character Gore wields a neurosword, which, according to the comic, is forged by Knull, who is the creator of the symbiotes. Do you think it's possible that Marvel would not have introduced, nor had they, unless they had plans to bring it in with Sony? He also asked about the Prince Valiant series, and whether or not that could be brought in because of... Now, I did actually have a look, and the Legend of Prince Valiant isn't actually... doesn't look like it's owned by Disney. That's why they've not that one. And he also goes on a little bit more about the Neurosword. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't too familiar with this one. I had to do a little bit of research beforehand. But I have read a few of the current symbiote comic book series that's been popping up on Marvel Unlimited, and I'm wondering whether or not they would adjust it a little bit so it doesn't make mention of symbiotes. That might be a way. That might be a way of them doing it. They might kind of lean away from symbiotes or hint at it, but not necessarily be the same thing as Venom. And they could change the story to fit. And also I think that whole thing of, it's a symbiotic entity doesn't necessarily mean that it's a Venom. They could probably twist it. So I think that's definitely a thing with that on there. He also I just feel like that's a key thing moving forward. So Josh has just popped in. With Hulu losing content, it will impact on the valuation of the company, which would help Disney in the long run. That's exactly it. Disney investing tons of stuff into originals because it doesn't want to boost up the value anymore. And when it takes away all of that content, people got going, well, it's not really worth as much as it was. So Disney are kind of, in some ways, letting it go a little bit. I mean, it's profitable and it's doing all right, but you can tell with the way that they're not throwing a lot of money at Hulu right now. It's definitely not the one. Okay, I'm going to do a few more of these ones that have been pre-done. Okay, so let's just get used to this software. Right, because I'm doing this question's a little bit different today. So Frank said, I think the reason why the Sony stuff is not on Disney Plus yet is because Sony still has a deal with Stars that does not expire until the end of next year, which is correct. Stars still have a contract, so they did say that stuff could start arriving, but I think it's more the legacy stuff. But yeah, they've not really gone into anything yet. But you are right, Stars have still got a deal, and then new movies from 2022 will go to Netflix first before they can come to Hulu or Disney Plus. Only in the United States. Important to note, it's only in the United States. Frank also asked why the Super Noobs is not on Hulu anymore. It was distributed by Wild Brain, and the second season was a Hulu original in the US. Doesn't necessarily mean it's on there indefinitely when it's a Hulu original. Amelia asked, when are the Fox films coming? So let's look at this in a couple of two ways. First off, there is already Fox movies on Disney Plus, even in the United States, things like Mrs. Doubtfire. There's just not a lot of them. They've really not been putting a lot of stuff on there. So they are already doing it, and they are making new movies, but it's very slow because of the deal with HBO, and there's so many existing streaming deals in place with the Fox stuff. So that's always an issue with that one there. Mick also asked, Disney are going to going for a lot of Channel 4 programs, which with no offense next month for the Star section. This way is a Hulu original that Channel 4 is showing. Is there Or I would love to see Father Ted or the Dairy Girls. I don't think it's necessarily that they're Channel 4 movies and shows. They've been like, seems to be like rent. They've done some deals with some production companies to get access to content that aired on Channel 4. And they dealt with like the people like Accident and stuff before, because they've done them as Hulu originals in the US. So I think it's more not necessarily buying them from Channel 4, because I don't think they can do that, but they're buying them from other companies that make them for like Channel 4 on ITV and the BBC. So that's kind of an interesting side note on that one. So Connor asks, with the recent arrival of The Walking Dead 28 days later, Y the Last Man, and American Horror Stories, do you think Star users could be in a treat for terms of sci-fi content as part of the Hallowstream in October? I definitely think it makes sense to load up on the Halloween content and the scary stuff. You know, we're going to have American Horror Story as well, double feature. I think that'll be a good lineup with all of that. Okay, see what everyone's live ones here. Okay, so we've done that one. Lady Jennifer Snow said, with Disney Plus announcing Werewolf by Night, what other little known characters could Marvel do with this? Now you got to think with Marvel, they've got thousands of characters, thousands of them to do. And we got all those monsters from just that era. There's so many. They've got all the X-Men, you've got the Inhumans, there's loads of other characters and stuff that we really haven't seen. I still can't see why they're doing Werewolf at Night. It wouldn't have been a character I would have instantly gone with. But nevertheless, I do think that one is kind of an interesting character to do. But I think that it just opens the door with Disney Plus. They can kind of go in, Echo. There's not like a character I would have assumed they would have gone with. But again, it just gives them flexibility to do stuff a little bit different. Okay, so Ricardo said, just a few days ago, I heard that Disney got more of a stake in Disney streaming services. I don't remember well. Didn't they already own it? Yeah, they do actually already own. They owned a certain percentage of it, but the major hockey thing in America, they owned a percentage of it because they originally joined with it, and so they actually they owned a bit of it, and the deal was that at a certain point, which was this summer, they could integrate that Disney had to buy them out. Also, the baseball league in America have got the same thing with them. So eventually, Disney streaming services will be completely owned by Disney. We're into like the small percentage at the end, but yeah, it did come up recently in the quarterly results that that's how they got hold of it. John said, I saw the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King, which was released on Disney Plus. Do you think we will get the rest of the Marvel one-shots, possibly new ones? I don't think we'll get new ones. I don't think they'll go for they'll just do a special. There's more money in it than doing a short. Hopefully we get the other ones. It was a nice surprise. I watched it myself yesterday as well. Frank said, in Canada, they have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with only seasons 1 to 8, even though it's on Star Plus. It's the opposite with seasons 9 to 14. How does this all happen? So I think you've got to look at it. Every country is got its own contracts in place with existing companies and all the rest of it. So therefore, that's how it's all going to work. Every country is going to have different things. Not everything is all the same. And until those contracts run out, Star Plus in Latin America is going to have a whole host of other issues. There might be a problem, for example, in Mexico compared to, like Belize or, Guatemala or anything like that. There will be differences and variations between those countries. So that's how it happens. It is a pain. It definitely is a pain. Joshua said, Werewolf by Night is associated with Moon Knight. I think they both debuted at the same. Yeah, I think it was Werewolf at Night debuted in Moon Knight comic books, so there might be a connection that way of how they do it. John said, do you think Disney will buy more movies like Amazon did just with Hotel Transylvania 4 as an exclusive? I think if they are doing it, but they tend to be doing it more for like Searchlight and for Hulu and stuff. They are doing quite a bit of it. It makes a lot of sense for them to do this. It's very noticeable this year because last year they brought Clouds was one that they brought for Disney Plus, and I think also Black Beauty. If you actually think about it right now, this year we've had Luca, we've had we've had the squirrel one, Flora and Ulysses. That's been about it. We've really not had hardly any movies this year, so I think they do need to buy some up for the winter. Mick said, love the new Spider-Man trailer. What do you think, Doctor Strange? I don't think he's the real Doctor Strange. I know there's a whole thing going around of him being Mistafo or something like that, and I think he is. I think he's just a bit cocky because he probably thinks it's all over. And so, I mean, yeah, I think if it was a fake one, like a scroll or something like that, I don't think he could be doing all the magic and stuff. So that's the thing. Here's some other ones. So Kayla said, I can understand why Hulu isn't growing with live TV subscribers since they're competing with DirecTV's YouTube. Hopefully they can find a way to increase it. Personally, I feel like the thing with their live TV, it's really expensive. I think it's like $70 odd for the US version. But that audience is dying. You know, it's less of it every year than there was before. Big hello to Stephen. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Thank you very much for your support. Joe said, if the Alien movies are leaving Now TV and go to Sky on the week, does that mean they could come in September, October? It does feel like with the Now TV things, there seems to be like a crossover period where they're not allowed to appear because we've not got really anything arriving very, very quickly coming over. Steven said, a few days left, Sky One, hopefully Sky Link. Yeah, they've renamed Sky One to Sky Max. I really don't see the point of it. It just feels... I mean, it sounds like like an internet provider, Sky Max. I mean, did that really need it with Sky One? I mean, there's not really much on Sky One. I mean, to me, the amount of Sky originals I'm watching at the minute, there's just not a lot on there. Josh has said, Doctor Strange has always been arrogant, aloof, and I know it all. However, we've also got to remember he could potentially be suffering from PSTD, considering what they've gone through. Yeah, he could be. Could be, definitely, compared to so Kayla said DirecTV is $85, so that does make it a little bit more expensive. Okay, let's jump now back into some of the questions. Here we go. Let's get rid of that's annoying with the question, with the comment. So Stephen Bruce also asked what gone on the Night House will come to Disney Plus. What's gone? Oh, is that the new horror movie? I think that one there will probably be coming in like the UK and stuff in maybe a couple of months. That'll be when I would expect it to arrive. It would be in a couple of months' time. Okay. So Kayla said, I read from what's on Netflix that after Spider-Man No Way Home finishes its theatrical release, it will be available on Stars due to it being a late 2021 release. When do you see this film coming to Disney Plus after it's run on Stars? I think it's even got to go to Netflix first. I think we're probably talking 4 to 5 years before it can appear. So we're talking a way off yet. We're talking a long way off. So we got Joshua here said, I believe the next Spidey film at the time of writing is Tom Holland's last Spidey film. Do you think it's possible that this is that this film is more of a creative vehicle, not only does it open at the multiverse, but if negotiations with Tom Holland or does Seventh Sense go south, both companies have the opportunity to diverge from each other? I think they could do. I think Tom Holland would be. I think if Tom Holland is great. Why would you want to get rid of him? He's great in that role. And he's such a hit with everyone. It's just going to be some more money. That's all it's going to take. He seems to look like he enjoys it. I mean, he said, when does all the Fox hits like Bohemian and Ford versus Ferrari? And again, it depends. If you're in the US, they probably won't. They're going to end up going off to other areas. Internationally, it depends on your region. I know they're already available, for example, in Australia, but some of the Fox movies are actually distributed by like New Regency. There's a few other companies and stuff there that's going on. So that's why you're not getting everything at the same time. So Frank says it turns out if you're a Disney bundle with you subscriber, you get access to Star Plus at no cost whenever you travel to Latin America. I don't know about that. Obviously, we haven't been able to test that. I wouldn't necessarily think that would work. I know if you're Disney Plus, like a bundle subscriber, you can't log into Disney Plus Hotstar, and there's a little bit of stuff like that way. So you can't always do it this way. Frank said the Rooster Teeth show camp is an adult animated series with the 5th season come. I don't think so. I think anything with Rooster Teeth, it seems a little bit out of the way. I don't really think that would work. Kayla said Tom Holland said in an interview that he's been offered a new contract. He'll sign it. I think they're going to sign it. I think they definitely sign it. Frank said it's for Hulu with no ads. It might be. I mean, we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see how it all works. Steven said Glad Manifest got saved on Netflix for the last series. It'll be on Netflix, not Sky Max. I watched the first few episodes of Manifest. I kind of got a little bit like, okay, had kind of gave me vibes of, I think it was Lost, where I didn't seem to know where it was going. I think it's interesting that Netflix have saved it. It's almost like it's done so well for them over the last few weeks that it made sense for them to sort of swoop in and pick it up. But I would very much just sort of say, when everyone kind of wants Netflix to save a show, Manifest was literally like the #1 trending show on Netflix for like 3-4 weeks. So that it really did pull in a lot of people. So that's always a key thing with that one there. Okay, so we've got, let's see here. So Frank said, it's been revealed in the latest Star Plus commercials that Paramount Plus titles such as Indiana Jones and Terminator will come to Star Plus due to Paramount's deal with Fox Networks in Latin America, including streaming, that does not expire until 2028. So why do they bother launching Paramount Plus in Latin America? Again, it's going to come down to access to. If they've got access to a lot of content, it might be all of it at the same time. That's the key thing. They want to get that in there. They want to get it launched. They want to get this Paramount Plus out to as many people as possible to grow. They've realized, like with Disney Plus and all the rest of it, they need to be global. They need to be a global player in order to get enough subscribers and stuff to keep everyone happy. So that's a key thing. Okay, so we've done all of them. And okay, we've done that one. We've done the Stars one. We've done Supermods, Fox. Yeah, I think that's cool. Right, so that's cool. So that means we've done all of the ones in advance, which is great. But I'm not going to do that way that we did this time. It was a bit of a mess me trying to find it. Joshua just went on to say, I think Tom Holland will sign a new contract. It's whether or not Sony or Disney can come to an agreement. Hopefully, it won't be It's a bit of an odd one, wasn't it, with Sony? Let me know in the comments if you think that Tom Holland will sign a new contract. I'd love to know what you guys all think. I think Disney and Sony will come to a deal. Whether or not Disney tries to buy out the contract or they come to a better solution for selling. The fact that they've already got that long-term streaming deal and they've already got that pay-2 window says to me that they've done something. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it just feels like there's just money on the table there. Money on the table. Joe said, why was the favorite removed from Disney Plus, including the UK? Did they add it back? I don't know why it got removed. I don't know quite why. I don't even know where did they move it to. That's the question. Sometimes it can actually be like things like we've had it before with titles where like the expiry date has run out and no one checked it. So it looks like it's gone to Virgin TV Go. So maybe there was a deal in place on some of the. It's one of those things with, especially like with the UK market and Australia and stuff, because like FX shows are going to like binge. How long these contracts are running, and that's always a bit of a thing going on with that one. Steven said, hopefully be a big Sky series. Yeah, so season 2 comes back in the US on ABC and Hulu the end of September. I really hope that we get them either the same week. I really enjoyed Big Sky the first season, thought it was great, but I really wish Disney would just sort out what they're doing with these release schedules. It feels like ABC and FX and everyone, they're all off doing their own different weird thing, and then Hulu they seem to have kind of got into alignment with, but I don't know. It is very strange why they do all of that. Just a quick note as well, we've got about 5 minutes left of today's live stream. Right. Nick says, Always Sunny in Philadelphia is filming an island this year. They're looking for an Irish Danny DeVito cast are coming over. All right, yeah. Do you know, it's actually a show I've never watched. I saw it when I was flicking through earlier that it was on Netflix. I've never seen it. So I probably should give that one a go. But I know it's not on Disney Plus here in the UK yet because it's still on Netflix. Let's see. So Venom got pushed back to October. Seems a bit of a quiet month for September for cinema. I was just looking at something online just a minute ago. Literally, it looks like there's like a new movie. There's like 1 or 2 movies out every single week for like the next 2 years straight. There's so many releases. A lot of this stuff, I think we're pushing it back to October. I think they're just hoping that more people have had the vaccine, so that more people will be able to go to the cinema. So I think that is the key thing why they've pushed it back a little bit, and it's more into like the Halloween territory maybe with Venom. But yeah, that's why I think they pushed it back, because it was only a few weeks. I mean, so Kayla said, I think the relationship between Sony and Disney is a little better since Sony signed a streaming deal, and I think there's going to be the Sony Spider-Verse. I just wish that they could get like the shows like Silk that they're making for like Amazon or something. It's like, we don't want all of this stuff. Just get it all sorted. Ricardo said, if you think Sky Comcast is successful in Europe, they would release it in Latin America and other places. So Sky has been, Sky has been part of my life as far back as I can ever remember. I mean, I think we had it back when I was a kid as a satellite. So Sky has always been very successful here, one of the big players. So it depends on with like Comcast since they brought it. I'm sure Comcast is going to do something, in Latin America with their whole area. But Comcast is looking at it in such a different way. They're still looking very old school in terms of like traditional way of doing it. They're not looking at it the same way as maybe Disney or Netflix is. Very like old. So, but yeah. Okay. So Joe said, do you think American Horror Story seasons 1 to 8 could leave a Netflix UK in October because that's when I'm guessing so. I mean, I think if they were to have dropped, it must be when that deal's coming up. It would make more sense for them to make a big splash of going like season 10's here and season 9 and here's seasons 1 to 8. Ricardo says, do you think this Sky Showtime will be successful in Europe? They should release it in Latin America and other places. Sky Showtime is one of the weirdest, stupidest names again. I mean, it's not as bad as Peacock. But again, it shows you that Paramount and Sky and Comcast are still not completely in on what they're doing. They're still like jumping around a little bit. I mean, I can say the same for Disney with Star Plus, but it just feels a little bit like they're joining up because they kind of know they're not strong enough on their own against Netflix and Disney. I don't know. I don't think Sky Show. I think it's a stupid. I don't know why they're doing it. Either merge or don't merge. Don't do this home things. Frank said, as it turns out, Star Plus will only have. It turns out that Star Plus will only have rated 12 plus to 16 plus. Here in Mexico, there's no 18 plus because you become legally an adult at 16. Well, okay. So here in Mexico, Deadpool is rated 14, and I don't know what Deadpool rated. What was Deadpool rated here? Because I know like a rated R is really like a 17. I don't know if it's a 15 or a. Let's have a quick look here. See what the rating is. This is the thing I'm trying to find it of where they hide it. So yeah, it's only a rating. Deadpool's only a 15 here in the UK. So that would probably align in with what you said with Mexico. Yeah, and also depends on like maturity. Like you say, if you become a legal adult at 16, that would make sense. So yeah, it just means that everything 18 here in the UK would be classed as like a 16 plus there, I'm imagining. And then you've got like other ratings in the US, like what's past R? You've got X. Is it X rated? I don't know. Can't remember. Steven said Batwoman needs to move to Sky Max. E4 keeps the show late. Do you know what? E4 has been keeping I remember watching Smallville years ago, and they used to be months behind, sometimes like 9 months behind America. Yeah, it was always, but that was like they could get away with it. But I think people are much more aware of it now. Right, we got about 2 minutes left. Josh has said Comcast and Viacom BBS have an alliance. They know they can't merge due to likely regulatory backlash, hence the worst of both worlds. 100% agree. They know that they can't merge because they're too big. I think Comcast, yeah, I think so. If we would think that really that Viacom and Discovery would have had a better chance of kind of merging because I don't know. Again, they need to scale, and I think they're going to be going to these like governments and going, look, we can't. You're not letting us merge means that one of we're both going to struggle. I think we are going to see some more merging going on. People haven't got enough to subscribe to all of these. Right. So there we go. So that is all of today's That's today's live one. I just check a couple of quick things before we head off. Again, just a huge thank you to everyone for jumping in on this one. I'll be again back next week with another live one. The plan is to keep running as we are every week. I said last week was just a little bit different because of vacation, so that was it. So let's have a look here and see where we've got a couple of other quick ones before we go. Kelly said, I know I've complained briefly about the Disney Plus UI, but I've become more appreciative nowadays since HBO crashed on me a few times and Peacock has buffering issues with live content. I know Peacock had a number of issues with Disney Plus, so with WWE. I think the trouble is, I think, you know, a lot of these apps, they've got so many people using them, millions. They have to keep things a little bit more simple, and the little changes can cause a no end of issues. And you got to think as well, like, I always think like Netflix, that's their whole business. That's their entire business, is that one app. I mean, every bit of their money comes through that app. Whereas like Disney have theme parks, cruise lines, stores, they have, you know, movies, they have merchandise, they have all this video games, they have all this stuff that they can make money from. So the importance on the app is probably less so important. So Steven said best thing with Sky was the Beehive Bentham game. Oh, was that on the? I think I was playing a game earlier on the Sky. I never really play on the games. Comcast is bid enough. Comcast is not great. Joe said, did you watch Vacation Friends? What did you think of it? I thought it was great. I mean, full reviews on the website. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big John Cena fan. To me, it was just a dumb comedy, full of laughs, full of fun. It was what it was. It was streaming. For me, it's like, just watch it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought it was really, really great. Right. Okay. Last question from Frank was, could the Magic Roundabout come to Disney Plus? Because here in France, Disney has a deal with Pathé. Possibly, if they've got the streaming rights to it, they could very easily do. But there we go. Thank you very much for all of your support. Thank you very much for being a member. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back, like I said, next week with another live chat. This week's podcast is available on podcast services where me and James talk about all this week's stuff. That was up on YouTube yesterday, and I'll be back tomorrow with more news, and that'll be running right through the week. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters.